Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news where we'll be talking quite a lot about quite a lot of things. Breaking news there. We'll be talking about Antony and his desire to come to United and how Liverpool's interest really could boost United's hopes here. There is a deal to be done and we'll talk about why. Also, in relation to Frenkie de Jong, we've had a few updates from Fabrizio Romano this morning. Chelsea's interest is real. We'll delve into that and what it means for Manchester United and the future of Frenkie de Jong. We've also got updates in relation to Ronaldo and players leaving the club. Lots to discuss this morning and very interesting developments as Manchester United head out to Perth, of course, as well. But before I get into that, I just want to say a big shout out to Shopify. You may have noticed the Shopify logo at the bottom of the screen. That's because today's show is sponsored by and supported by the nice people at Shopify. Shopify has been amazing for the United Stand community. It allows us to provide what we think are amazing products for you. And now Shopify has partnered with YouTube to launch YouTube Shopping. That means we can now showcase our Shopify products directly on the YouTube channel. Look below now and you'll probably see the top for this top that I'm wearing for sale, or in the live chat I've pinned a different top as well. It's product placement at its finest. And if you're an inspiring entrepreneur, Shopify is super simple to use. I've got no experience on selling anything online, so if I can do it, anyone can. We run every part of the United Stand merchandise store through the Shopify platform, and it honestly takes all the hassle away from selling online, so we can make sure we focus on bringing the best content to our amazing audience instead. We have some amazing new shirts out soon, and we can't wait for you to see them right here on our YouTube channel. To learn more about the new YouTube shopping feature with Shopify, hit the link in the description, and thanks again to Shopify for their support, not only today, but over the last couple of years. Now on with the show, and as I say, if you want to get any of these tops, you can go through Shopify, the links are in the chat, or we've pinned it in the live chat as well. We do ship worldwide. Thank you very much to Shopify. Right, let's get on with the show. Talking about Shopify, I wish Manchester United could sort out their purchases a little bit more efficiently, because I feel that there are deals here to be done, but there is also... I don't think patience is the word. I don't think patience is the word here. I think the word here is the great unknown. We don't know how long anything's going to take at the moment. So I do want to talk about De Jong and I do want to talk about Chelsea's interest, but I think on a more positive note, because I think we all need a bit of positivity at times, let's just bring back in the Antony story and tell you what's going on with there. Now, United do want to buy a striker. Very interesting, actually, that Fabrizio Romano said this morning. You can read it below. Despite some reports, Manchester United haven't made any approach for Brentford striker Antony yet. That'll be a relief to many, including me, because I just don't think he's the right sort of player for Manchester United at the right price. Brentford would quite rightly want north of 40 million, and I think that's a lot of money for a player that, you know... Look, I know a lot of people like Antony, but do you want to spend £40 million on Antony? And do you think if we did, we would win the league in the next 3 years? Because I don't. So I think you've got to avoid signings like that. They're expensive and ultimately not going to take us where they want to be. Short term, decent. Long term, not going to win us the league, is he? And that's what you need to be looking at. So we keep getting linked to Antony in relation to being a striking option, which I find quite interesting because we're not looking at Antony as a striking option. And as I put this up on the screen here, this is from the Manchester Evening News. Liverpool have reportedly made an inquiry to Ajax about Manchester United target Antony. They are, however, unlikely to match the 59 million valuation of him. So hold that thought for a moment, because we are in for Antony, and Antony does want to come to Manchester United. We've always been well briefed on this. I get bored of saying it, but from the Antony side, it's been well known since mid-May that he'd love to sign for Manchester United, and that Antony and his agent have told Ajax to negotiate with Manchester United, or asked them, however you put it. They want Ajax to negotiate with Manchester United, and they've made that very, very clear in a professional way. What does that mean? It means I want to leave, so please negotiate with them. Don't say I'm not for sale. Don't say you're not going to negotiate, because that's not right. I want to leave. You know, I've been loyal to this club. I will still be loyal to this club if you can't negotiate a deal. But at least sit down with them. Don't tell them I'm not for sale, because that's completely on you. I want to go. So that's what's happening there. Doesn't mean he will go. It's all in the hands of United negotiation team. And as we know with that can be quite an issue. But welcome to the Members Club, by the way, Jay. And Zane says, Mark, you need to have a better scouting system. You keep buying overpriced established players. Hi, Mark. Loving the content. Is the Merry Christmas, you bloody Pratt sweatshirt coming back anytime soon? Probably at Christmas, Jake. Odds on us getting a Kanji as he chose us over Arsenal, says Chris. I don't think we're going to get a Kanji. We've got our centre-backs now. But going back to Antony, I think that it's really important to understand that also that Ten Hag really wants this player. As I've said many a time, there were 3 big priorities for Erik Ten Hag when he came into the job. He wanted Darwin Núñez, he didn't get him. He wanted Frenkie de Jong, he hasn't got him yet. And Mudgate, thanks for the super chat. And he also wanted Antony. Now, one thing you can learn about that is Darwin Núñez is a Liverpool player. There's nothing you can do about that. Frenkie de Jong, we're going to talk about in a bit, he's still obsessed with. And Antony, he's still obsessed with. So, whilst Antony is still at Ajax, I still think there's a chance that Manchester United can sign him. The issue we're going to have is the player wants to come, the agent wants him to come, Ten Hag wants him to come, and the big issues in this are Ajax and Manchester United. Are Manchester United ambitious enough to make this deal happen, and are Ajax open enough to be reasonable? Now, if this is true, if there's anything that's true about this, I think this is a foot in the door for United. Because if £59 million is the price that Liverpool have been basically quoted, which is what, 70 million euros, that's workable. That is a workable deal. And I think that's a fair deal as well. I think anything above 60 million for Antony is just ridiculous. You know, I really do. I really do. Now, remember you can put add-ons in there, but there's also, I think we can get Martin Braithwaite. No thanks. No thanks. You can go to Ajax, not Manchester United, Jonas. I think there's a deal that can be done here, because if that's the sort of fee that Ajax are looking for, then they are looking for a right back. They are interested in Ethan Laird, and I think Ethan Laird brings that price down to 45 million with add-ons in. So I think United could well be able to get Antony for about 45 million plus Ethan Laird with a few add-ons in, and we get what we want, they get what they want. I think there's a deal there to be done. And therefore, I take Ajax out of this equation as well. I don't think Ajax are the problem in this equation. Ten Hag wants him. Antony wants to come. I think there's a deal there to be done with Ajax. It's now just on the fact of whether Manchester United can do a deal. And I really do think a deal can be done. We're just going to have to watch this space. 100% United want Ten Hag wants him. 100% Antony wants to come. Ajax will always do a deal. It's in the hands of Murta and Arnold again. Can they negotiate a deal? Or are they just going to go, sorry, Eric, we've done it to every manager we've had in the last 9 years. We haven't got enough money. There's no value in the market. We're not going to buy you that player that you really, really want. But I tell you what you want, what you really, really want. You don't want Antony. What you really, really want is Sarr from Watford. So, you know, keep an eye on that. But I still believe a deal can be done, but it's on the United board to whether they can do it. Love all your work, Mark. Much love from Perth, Australia, says Sazo. I hope you're going to get down to the open training, mate. That's tomorrow morning. I think it's at 10 a.m. your time. Check them out. Sahil, welcome to the Members Club as well. So let's see what happens with Antony. Look, there's been times in this summer transfer window when I was 80%. I think I was 80% at back end of June, early July. I'm not 80% anymore. You know, I've got European lad on Twitter telling me that it's definitely not going to happen, and do I want to bet on it? I wouldn't bet on any Man United transfer. Not bloody stupid. I may as well just, have a bag of money and throw it out the window and see if the wind blows it back in my door. That's basically... I'm not betting on United getting a transfer done. It would be a bloody idiot. It's like betting on a chicken fighting an octopus. But I'm not going to do that. So I think that I'm 50-50 on this. What I would say is that he really does want to sign for Manchester United, and Ten Hag really wants him. So that should be the end game, really. But we'll see. We will see. Any news on Outgoings? Says H. Going to talk about that. And well, just spoken about Ethan Laird there. I think there's a deal to be done with Ajax, definitely. And I like the idea of Ethan Laird going to Ajax, because I think Ethan Laird's an interesting player. But also, I like Ajax. And it's got to be a two-way street. We need to maintain a relationship with Ajax. Fantastic club. We've taken Donny a couple of years ago. We've taken Lisandro Martinez. We've taken their manager. We can hopefully take Antony. But why can't we do something back? Like, they need a right back. I mean, they're never going to take Wan-Bissaka, but Ethan Laird's a good right back for them. There might be an opportunity for, somebody else to head there as well. So I think we need to build that relationship, and I think Ethan Laird will head out. There's a little bit about Twansebi and Palestri to talk about in a moment as well. Daniel Hodgson says, hi Mark, let's say we don't get De Jong, which I think we will. Do you play Martinez in midfield or play McFred? Love from Australia, mate, and I love the show, says Daniel. I don't think that Erik Ten Hag is going to go, I didn't get Frenkie de Jong, let's put Martinez in the midfield, because he completely messes up his plan of what he wants to do with the left side of centre-back. He wants Lisandro Martinez to play left-sided centre-back. If you watch the game back yesterday, which I did this morning, Malacia has to come back a lot. and Dalot has to come back a lot to support Maguire and Lindelof. That's because of a lack of pace. If you put Lisandro Martinez in there, Malacia won't come back as much because he knows Lisandro Martinez knows what he's doing. Lindelof got basically supported a hell of a lot by Malacia yesterday. Amazing shift from both fullbacks. I don't think Ten Hag wants his fullbacks to be coming back that much. They did support the attack a lot, but it's a lot of work for your fullbacks to do 2 times a week. So I think he will want Lisandro Martinez in at centre-back. Do you think Ronaldo's vaccination status is another reason he may not be on tour, says Mark? It could be, but ultimately he does want to leave. Great to see Martial back on form. He can make the number 9 position his own, says Peter Williams. Talking about something, actually, I don't know whether anybody saw this yesterday, just very, very quickly. I got a feeling that Antony could happen in January, says Steve. Maybe. I saw some player ratings. I think it was from the Manchester Evening News yesterday. Now, I think our player ratings have been really good that we've been doing so far, voted for by you. I refuse to give anybody lower than a 6 in pre-season because I don't, it's pre-season. I don't want to be giving people 4s and 3s. I just don't see the point. Some of you have, that's fine. But I saw a player rating yesterday, and I don't know who did it, but it was from the Manchester Evening News. I don't know whether it was voted by fans. I don't know whether it was done by a journalist. And they basically gave Maguire an 8, and Lindelof a 7, and Martial got an 8, and Sancho got an 8. And I was like, what game are we watching here? On what planet was Lindelof a 7 and Maguire an 8 if Sancho and Martial were an 8? And also, I think Dalot got a 7 and Malacia got a 7. And I was like, what game were you bloody watching? Look, Maguire and Lindelof did okay yesterday, but they had a cigar on. Like, De Gea had a cigar on as well. They never got tested. That was an easy game as a centre-back yesterday. You had nothing to deal with, loads of space, passed the ball. They never got tested. Those fullbacks had to get forward and back like bloody yo-yos, support the attack, support the defence. Sancho and Martial were on fire. I don't get that. I really don't get how you can assess a game and give 2 players that played well but average the same score as 2 players that were just on a different level. Crazy. The PR's doing good. The PR's doing good. But look, I agree with your player ratings. I thought they were very good. Let's just move on to this De Jong story. So look, this is a new show. This is a new show, of course, and I have to bring you the news, and it is from Fabrizio Romano. So I can't say that it's just some obscure Spanish report. We did get a story last night that Chelsea are interested in Frenkie de Jong, and I did say last night, no UK outlets talking about this, no Chelsea outlet is talking about this. Well, Fabrizio Romano is talking about this. So Fabrizio Romano has said that Chelsea have been interested in Frenkie de Jong for weeks, but they know that Man United have an agreement with Barcelona and that the player doesn't plan to leave. The understanding is that Chelsea would make a move for Frenkie de Jong if he made it clear that he wanted to leave Barcelona. So I think this is... John says just give up on him. I've got to say, John, in my own opinion... Our plan A is Frenkie de Jong, our plan B is Frenkie de Jong, our plan C is Frenkie de Jong, and there is no alternative being worked upon. We start the season 2 weeks on Sunday. We've not even spoken to Tielemans. We've not even spoken to Neves or Lema or anybody else. Our options are Frenkie de Jong, Frenkie de Jong, Frenkie de Jong. Now, whether you like that or not, it really is... that's the player. That's the player that Erik Ten Hag wants. And, at the end of the day, we've got to get this player. I can't say anything more. We've got to get this player. I watched that United midfield, and you know what? Whatever about Maguire and Lindelof yesterday, I thought they did okay. I thought they were good, but I don't think they were tested. I'd give them a 6, 6.5 maybe. I wouldn't give them anything more than that compared to Martial, Malacia, Rashford, and Sancho. Not Rashford, Martial, Sancho, Dalot and Malacia. But the worst player on the pitch for me was Scott McTominay. People talk about Maguire bashing. Why aren't people protecting Scott McTominay? Why isn't he getting an article written on him? Why is he not be given an 8 out of 10? Because the one player in that team that gets bashed more than anybody is Scott McTominay. And, we can all pretend it's Maguire or Lindelof or Rashford or Bruno, but it's not. McTominay consistently gets pelters all the time. And I'm very aware of that. And, I always I don't rate him, but I always talk about his effort. I always talk about his physicality, the fact that he wins headers. I think he's a very limited footballer. and he gets absolute pelters every game. So, you know, this bloody Maguire fan club or Rashford fan club or Bruno fan club, where are you all defending Scott McTominay? Because I don't see it. You know, if you are one of those fans that wants to protect the underdog, why aren't you in the McTominay fan club? Because he gets more pelters than anyone. I think he got a 4 from you lot yesterday. So, you know, if we're actually going to really talk about who the victim is in that Man United side, it is Scott McTominay. If you want to talk about pelters, Maguire doesn't get anywhere near what McTominay gets. So, look, we've got to get Frenkie de Jong, because if we do not get Frenkie de Jong, then our midfield will have Scott McTominay and Fred in it. And if we've got Scott McTominay and Fred in it, we won't finish in the top 4. We'll play some bloody good football at times. We'll beat some teams 4 or 5-0. I really think we will. But when the going gets tough and we start playing the Spurs and the Arsenals and the Chelseas and the Liverpools and the Man Cities, we'll get beat, because that midfield won't be able to cope. So we need to get Frenkie de Jong. And you know what? We need to get Frenkie de Jong, because United have not got a plan B, and they have not got a plan C, and they have not got a plan D. It's all or nothing, and it ain't Arsenal on Prime. It's Man United on Frenkie de Jong. This is the player that they want, and it's really sort of being put out there now, as James Ducker said yesterday, that if we don't get Frenkie de Jong, we probably won't go for anybody, because he's so obsessed with this player that that's what it's all about. Now, my concern with this is, and Ronald says, if de Jong joins, do you think it could turn out like when Di Maria was at the club? Well, it could do, Ronald. It could turn out like a good signing as well. Nobody knows. Les, thank you very much for joining the members club. Charlie says, I generally think Sancho will be one of the best singers in the world football next season, and he should get selected for the England team easily. When's the album out, Charlie? I think you mean wingers. Lucas, welcome to the members club. And if we lost de Jong to Chelsea after spending all summer on him, being Eric Ten Hag's main target, the board must get the sack. It would be a disgrace, says Jordan. Well, Jordan, you've sort of led into it there. I'm 90% sure we'll get de Jong. I think United... Look, and ultimately, Romano said this morning, and he's absolutely spot on. We have agreed a deal for Frenkie de Jong. I mean, just a bit of an update on where we're at. I know it's slow sports news, but where we are with Frenkie de Jong is this, and everyone will tell you this. We've agreed a deal with Barcelona. Like that deal is done. Barcelona want that money. That's 70 million. That's a deal done. We've done the deal, but we haven't, because the player won't come. So it's a weird transfer, but we have agreed a transfer fee with Barcelona. Man United and Barcelona have got nothing more to discuss. That is it. They're in contact, but not to arrange anything else. They're in contact. Barcelona are trying to get de Jong to go. United are trying to persuade de Jong to come, and de Jong is saying, I don't want to leave. Now, there is a belief that he will change his mind. That's coming from the Barcelona side and the United side. They do believe that it's worth pursuing because he will change his mind. But, I mean, the worst case scenario in this, and I you know, it is one to be fearful of when Fabrizio is saying this. The worst case scenario is, you know, Frenkie de Jong's got bloody WhatsApp. So have Chelsea. Little message to his agent. Look, is it just because he doesn't want to leave Barcelona, or is it just because he doesn't want to come to Manchester United? Because if it's just because he doesn't want to come to Manchester United, we're in the Champions League. We'll pay you the same money. Come to us. Deal done. And then we're really stupid. If he stays at Barcelona, that's stupid on United's part. It really is. If he leaves Barcelona to go to Chelsea, that is apocalypse stupid. That is annihilation stupid. That is the ultimate banter if that happens. That can't happen. Not, you know, Chelsea fans will take the piss out of us as United fans, but it's nothing to do with us. For United, for Richard Arnold, for the Glazers, for John Murtagh, and even for Ten Hag a bit, that would be ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You know what that would be like? That would be like, you know, you see your dream girl or boy in a bar, right? You pluck up the courage to talk to them. They're a bit standoffish. You buy them a drink, you woo them, you chat them, you make them laugh, you get them on a first date. The first date, they're still not that quite sure, but you know, you keep taking them out, you keep telling the jokes, you keep having a good time. You know, you even they start to like you a little bit more. You go on holiday, you put loads of effort in, loads of time, loads of money into it. They really start falling for you, yeah? They really start falling for you. You ask them to marry you. Yes, I will. You have a great engagement party. Everybody's really happy. You book the wedding. It's the dream wedding. The date is set, and you're there waiting at the front of the aisle. You know, you put all this effort in. They do love you. They do want to marry you. They do want to commit to you. And whilst you're stood at the front of the church in the aisle, Chelsea walk in, down to the bride and say, marry me. And they go, up yours, take them off. And they don't even have a proper marriage. They just go and get married in Vegas and have a great life together. That would be equivalent of what United have done on this if Chelsea take this deal. Because the amount of time and the amount of effort and the amount of publicity there's been around this deal, for Chelsea to swoop in at the last minute and take him would be devastating. And it would be devastating for more than the embarrassment. It would be devastating for two other reasons. One, because he'd be playing in the Premier League against us. That would be really, really bad. Two, because Ten Hag has made it so obvious that he hasn't got a backup plan. He hasn't got a plan B. That this player is the be-all and end-all. This is the player that's going to revolutionise United. Now, I don't necessarily think that's a problem, but it's a problem when you make it very clear that the one player that's going to help United rebuild and rise from the ashes is now wearing a Chelsea shirt, one of our rivals. That would be just a devastating blow for Manchester United. And what I would say as well is, it could be the sort of blow that undermines your management career for a long, long time, and ultimately could be a blow before you've even started that you don't even recover from. So it's huge that United get De Jong, and I think this is why we will get De Jong, because I can't see us recovering from not getting him by just saying, well, there's nobody else to go for. So I'll repeat again, option A, B and C is De Jong. It's all or nothing, and we've got to get that deal done for so many reasons. The biggest reason for me is not really the embarrassment it would bring upon the club, but the biggest reason for me is that we need to sort that midfield out, and if we don't get De Jong, we're stuck with what we've got and it ain't good enough. You can't start next season and go, we didn't get De Jong, we're going to stick with what we got. Because I'm going to put my hand up and I won't get answered, and I'll say, how can you say we're all right with what we've got when Matic and Pogba have been let go and you haven't replaced them and we had a shit midfield last year? How can we have a good midfield when you've not replaced Pogba and Matic and we had a shit midfield last year? So we've got to do it. Mark, can you explain? Jacob says, can you explain how Barcelona can afford to buy all these players? No, I don't know. Chuck, thank you very, very much for joining the Members Club. I don't know. Nagelsmann spoke about it as well. He doesn't know. Nobody really understands it. But you know what? I think we've got our own issues in the Premier League without talking about Barcelona, And I'm not bitter about it in any sense of the word for Barcelona. I gave up on the financial situation of football a long time ago. And I'll tell you why I gave up on the financial situation for a long time ago. It could be because of clubs like Chelsea and Man City and Newcastle, who just get these owners who are allowed to spend money that the club doesn't make and pump money in different ways. And it's very clearly dubious how they've got away with that. And the Premier League and FIFA and UEFA have done nothing about it. Same with PSG. It's very dubious what Barcelona are doing. But to be fair to Chelsea, Man City, Newcastle, PSG and Barcelona, if I was a fan of those clubs, I'd say I'll shut up, you jealous prat anyway. So, yeah, there's dubious practices definitely going on, and football just turns a blind eye because they're probably taking money themselves. But one of the biggest things that I checked out of financials for a long time ago was how on earth did the Premier League allow the Glazers to buy Manchester United Football Club? How do you let one of the biggest clubs in the world, the biggest assets to the Premier League in England, be taken over by businessmen on debt who keep us in debt and take money out of the club? I'll never understand how that's been allowed in a sport that is meant to be for the people. How can somebody's football club be bought into debt and left in debt and basically used as a cash cow for people who don't even like football? That's the biggest thing for me. So I'll never really say anything about what's going on at Barcelona or PSG other than to say I'm sure something's going wrong. But who are we to talk when our club's the biggest example of financial, unfairness? Mark, I might be out of action for a while as I'm going to run for the Conservative leadership, says Zayn Miassi. If I win, I will introduce laws that toxic owners can't buy clubs on debt. Well, Zayn, I'd vote for you. I'd vote for you on that one. I really would. So, yeah, that's where we are with this Frenkie de Jong story. Unfortunately, it feels like there may be some interest from Chelsea. We'll have to just wait and see. And the way that this transfer window has gone, if we're completely honest with ourselves, it wouldn't surprise anybody if anything happened in this transfer market anymore, because anything can happen. We've seen Arsenal agree a deal with Rafinha, Chelsea agree a deal with Rafinha, and then he signs for Barcelona. Bournemouth are interested and monitoring defender Axel Tuanzebe. However, he also has clubs interested from abroad. I think that there's a lot of United fans talking about players leaving the club at the moment. All I can tell you is this. information-wise, keep your eye on the Ethan Laird thing, because Ajax are desperate for a right back, and I think United should be pushing him there because I think it's a good deal for him and it's a good deal for Ajax, and we might be able to build that relationship with Ajax to maybe do something with Antony as well. But certainly, whether that happens or not, I think that's a good deal. That should bring us in about 10 million for Ethan Laird. I think that'd be a fair price. Twansebi, there will be buyers for Twansebi, and again, I think that should be another 10 million. So that would bring in about 20 million there. Brandon Williams is another player. He desperately wants to stay, but ultimately we need to be a bit ruthless here. What would Brandon Williams' role be at Man United? He wants to play at left back. He's right-footed. You're not getting in ahead of Malacia and Shaw. We've still got Telles, who's another player we should be moving on. Again, I think Telles, you could probably get another 10 for him, being a Brazilian international. That would take it up to 30 with Twansebi and Pereira and Laird. Brandon Williams should be another 10. That would take it up to 40. So I think we've got an opportunity to remove some players over the next couple of weeks and start building up that thing. Now, the skeptic and cynic in me says we haven't been selling players because they don't want the fans to realise that we are actually knocking that net spend from 120 down with every 10 million to 110, 100, 90, 80. We could end up with a net spend below 60, 70 million if we start moving some of these players. I think we will. I also believe that that's not the end of it. You know, Phil Jones should be moved on for probably nothing. We might have to pay somebody to buy him if we're honest. But there's still Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I still believe that United have got something lined up for Wan-Bissaka. Now, I believe, and the info I had was that they've got a buyer. I know that sounds ridiculous, and a loan probably will happen, but I sense that there is a buyer for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, so we'll have to see what happens with that. I mean, even 20 million for Wan-Bissaka I would take. I know it's a £30 million loss, but I would happily take that at the moment. Anything more than that is brilliant. He needs to go and rebuild his career as well, so I think that would be a good deal. We might get 30 if we're lucky, but certainly I think that, you know, you've got to be looking around 25 for him. And then suddenly you've probably raised 50, 60 million in sales and removed a lot of players that need removing. So I do think we'll be moving players on. I expect that to start happening over the next 5 weeks. And why I say 5 weeks is we're not back from the tour until a week, sort of, well, just it's on Sunday we're back from the tour. So Ten Hag probably won't be back in work probably till Monday. Then the season's going to start, of course, and that's when clubs will start to get a little bit desperate as well. What do you think about Garnacho Garner? By the way, love your shows, says Z6. Well, thank you very much for your support, pal. I think you make a good point there. I mean, there was a story coming in from ESPN Uruguay today saying that Pelestri will go on loan, probably going to go to Serie A or Portugal. So SS says there's no way you're going to get 60 million from sales. Well, right, okay. Sometimes you've got to call people out. Why is there no way we'll get 60 million from sales? 8 million from Pereira. Let's say 10 million from Twansebi, which is a little bit conservative because we might get more. That's 18 million. So that's Twansebi and Pereira's already gone. 18 million. Williams, another 10. And I'm being conservative again, 28 million. Telles, another 10, 38 million. You've still got Bailly, Wan-Bissaka, Laird. You know, I think it's very achievable that we'll get 50, 60 million. Very achievable. When you think of the volume of players that we can move on and how cheap they can go, 10 million. And we might get 15 for some of these players as well. So I do think we can do it. I've always said we can do it. I mean, I don't think it was ever helped by Dean Henderson going on loan and Martial was expected to be sold as well, and they would have been bigger fees, but we can definitely do it. Please wish my son Connor a happy 28th birthday. Still hasn't beat his old dad in one-on-one on the garden. Come on, Connor. Connor, Leo, happy birthday to Connor. Leo, how old are you? I mean, if he's your son at 28, you've got to be at least 46. And that's if you add it at 18. It could be 44 if you did it at 16. Anyway, let's not talk about what you did at 16. Connor at 28, you've got to be beating your old dad in a one-on-one in the garden if he's in his 40s. And then again, I think Seb's going to struggle with that against me, to be fair. Thanks, Mark. You're a great escape at a tough time for me, says Dan. Do you think Ahmad could take off with a top coach like Ten Hag? Dan, I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for the super chat. Isn't Arnold and Murta failing in signing De Jong despite going to Barca showing we're desperate? Eric Ten Hag position, it means players Barca have the leverage, says Faisal. Look, in a general sense, I don't think this transfer window has gone well. I don't. I don't think Arnold has come out of this at all very well so far. And I say so far pointedly. Richard Arnold sat there. He never should have been recorded. It was a disgrace that somebody did that, but because those quotes would have come out anyway. And but he did say those words, and everybody knows what he said. He said the money's there for the players that the manager wants. So get the players that the manager wants then. If you don't get them, you've lied. It's as simple as that. And Mertza and Arnold are under a lot of pressure, and it shouldn't be forgotten. In essence, I'll come back to those Palestri and Ahmad stories in a minute, but it's a good point. Mark, the problem is the Dross are all on silly wages too. I heard 60k a week for Brandon Williams, which is madness. No way we get 10 million for him. Yeah, ridiculous wages for Brandon Williams. Why was he given 60 grand a week? I mean, blame Solskjaer and Ed Woodward again. Why would you give a player like that for 60 grand a week? I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Isn't Arnold and Mertza failing? Yes, we've done that once. So, look, I would describe Manchester United, and I know some people struggle with this. Mohammed says, just wanted to know if there is any players you would like to buy from the promoted teams. No, Mohammed. Look, I think Jed Spence to Spurs is really good. And I said this last night, and I don't know what many of you think on this, just as a bit of a topic. Spurs, I know they've got Perisic and Forster, who are basically free signings. But if you look at the main signings for Spurs, Longley on loan, Richarlison, Basuma, Jed Spence, and I think that's about it. But I would have took Spence, and I would have took Basuma. And if you count their January signings, I would have took Kulusevski as well, and probably Bentancur. So they've bought well. And they are, they have done well. And I think, United, we talk about Man City and we talk about Liverpool and we talk about Chelsea, but really, we should be talking about Spurs, because at the moment they've got a world-class manager, they're in the Champions League, and they have added to their squad. And Spurs, for me, were always a problem if Harry Kane got injured or Son got injured, and suddenly they've got a squad. And that is a dangerous thing. It's all about the squad. I worry about United. I do worry about United because I don't think we've got a squad. I mean, I look at Spurs. If Harry Kane gets injured, they've got options. If they get injuries to Højbjerg in the midfield, they've got options. They've got options at the back. They've got options at fullback. It's going to be a long season for everybody, and I think Spurs have built a squad, and I think Conte's seen this coming a mile off. As I've said about United, what happens if we get an injury in midfield? What happens if we get an injury to Rashford or Sancho? We're so thin in both those areas. I don't feel we've got a squad. And Mark, how confident are you about Maguire this season? He still continues to be our captain. So do you think Lissandro will get as many chances as well as we still have Bay and says Arid? Look, you know what, on Harry Maguire, I wouldn't have sold Harry Maguire. I find it hilarious that apparently, I'm anti-Harry Maguire because I don't think he's played well last season and he shouldn't be captain. I'm amazed that people are pro-Harry Maguire. You're completely guessing. Like, I'm sure he's a nice guy. I don't have any reason to believe that he's not. But I'm talking about his footballing ability. And I include a few other players in this. Scott McTominay would be in it for me. You could put Bruno in there if you wanted to. Maybe even Rashford. A few others who just didn't perform last year and have got a lot to prove. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm happy that Harry Maguire's the captain or he should be our starting centre-back, because the only thing I've got to go on is last season. He was a crap captain and he didn't perform well. So why would I sit here and go, give him a chance, he's going to be good? It's complete speculation. He's got to earn it. And I don't know why this is a hard thing for some people to process and why they start coming out with nonsense like, oh, you're just anti-Harry Maguire. Well, I'm anti-Scott McTominay then, aren't I? I'm anti-Bruno. I mean, I'm wearing a bloody Bruno t-shirt. How can I be anti-Bruno? I just don't think he played well last year and he's got a lot to prove. It's just simply that a lot of these players had a very bad season last year, and that's where I'm judging them. I'm not going to judge them on pre-season because it means next to nothing. It's about next season. In the case of Harry Maguire, look, there was a time where I thought he was playing decent for United about a year ago. He could get back to that. Do I think at his best he's better than Varane? I can't believe anyone would have that conversation. I mean, I find it unbelievable that people would have... take this away from United fans. If you had a conversation with anybody, anywhere, about who's better, Maguire, Lindelof or Varane, I think you'd be ejected from whatever you're in. Train, pub, plane, whatever. Like, that is just not a conversation, and yet we're supposed to have this conversation. Well, maybe Maguire should start ahead of Varane. Maybe Lindelof should start ahead of Varane. Why? What are you talking about? So, look, I find the conversations odd. I think there are just people out there. And look, this brings me on to what I was going to say. Arnold also said the following seasons will be more difficult financially, which is terrifying when even West Ham are outspending us this summer, says Major. Yeah, you can't... Money's very important in the modern game. Polina from Sporting went to Fulham for cheap. We could have gotten him, says the world of Louis. I think a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I think some people cannot work their brain in a way that they're either positive or negative. I don't think they can. I've come to realise this, that, you know, as I said last night, there's the world isn't green and red. It's not red, it's not good and it's not go and stop. There's amber in between. And I think some people really, just the way their brain works, they're either positive or negative. And you know, they watch Ten Hag and they watch some players and they go, well, I'm feeling positive. I can't be negative about certain things because I can't do both. So I get that. I think some people's minds just, they have to be pro or negative. And definitely there are people out like that. But my brain doesn't work like that. And I don't think a lot of people's brain works like that. In fact, going back to the traffic light system, at United at the moment, I probably have a traffic light system. The positive, green, well, let's start with the negative. The negative, red. No, let's start with the positive. You see, I can't decide. Let's start with the positives. You know, the green bits, the positive bits for me with United at the moment are Ten Hag, the way we're playing, the future, certain players, you know, Sancho, De Gea, Ronaldo if he comes back, you know, a few others who really are in the green zone, the positive zone, you know, and obviously, as I say, Ten Hag, the football, the vision, that's all positive. So things make me positive about Man United. But some people can't be positive and negative. They have to be completely positive. So in the green zone, not only have they got Ten Hag and Sancho and the way that we're playing, they're also throwing in McTominay and Maguire and Lindelof and everybody else who they just throw in and the Glazers and Richard Arnold. Everything has to be positive to them. But for me, there's a traffic light system. So I've got a few things that are positive and they make me smile. In the amber zone, which means they could go either way. They could become positive. They could go negative. I've got people like Rashford, Harry Maguire, Bruno Fernandes, and a few others who let us down last year. They're not in the green zone yet, but they could go green if they prove themselves over the next few months. So they're in the amber zone. And in the red zone, the negative zone, I've got Richard Arnold, John Murta and the Glazers, because I think that they are the people that are really holding us back at the moment. Now, it could go red, amber, green for them, but at the moment they're in the red zone because they're not getting the deals done that need to be done. That squad is weak in depth and we haven't got the deals done quickly enough or even at all where we need to get them done. So that's how I work as a fan. I can be positive, green, and amber for some things and red. But some people can only be green and red. And that's where the clashes come. I was thinking about this last night when I was having a beer and I was like, why is it that this fan base is so bloody divided? And I think it's actually just mindsets. Some people can be positive about some things, unsure about others, and negative about some things. And then they will always clash with people who are just totally positive about everything. So that's how it works for me. Let's go back to what we were talking about, some players leaving Manchester United. I don't know whether I've got the... let me just put you that up on the screen just as a little bit of an update as well. I don't think I've got it to put up on the screen. But anyway, Palestri is apparently going to go on loan again. Somebody asked about Ahmad earlier. I think Ahmad's got to go on loan. I like Ahmad. I remember speaking about Ahmad with Fabrizio when he was at Atalanta. And what a player. I mean, look, you had people at Atalanta who were training with him saying he's the most technically gifted player they've ever seen. I don't know whether that's our fault, whether it's his fault, but how many years has he been at United? Please don't say it's 3. Please don't say it's 3. It's got to be 2. It's 2. It's definitely 2 because Sancho's only been here a year. So it's 2 years without Ahmad and it's just not developed. There's no way he's ready. Absolutely no way. I saw him play a few times for Rangers last year. It was hit and miss and that might be a bit kind. I've seen him in pre-season. It's very hit and miss. He's not ready. He's physically not ready. And it amazes me. It absolutely amazes me because I remember him playing against Wolves at the end of the season before last as a false 9 and he was man of the match against Wolves. You know how physical they are. So there's always a chance that Ten Hag might say with Ahmad, there's something there, you stay with me and I'll make you famous. But I think he's going to have to go on a loan. Palestri's going to have to go on a loan. I think Garner might have to go on a loan. Garner's got to go to the Prem. Garner's got to go to a Premier League side and play 30 games. There's no point him staying at United and being the 5th choice midfielder and playing 2 or 3. He's got to go and play Garner. And he's been really unlucky with injury, because what Garner could have done is what Savage and Iqbal have done. And then he might have had a real chance of being in the team. This injury, and he's not an injury-prone player, this injury has come at the worst possible time for Garner. I really feel bad for him. So he might be heading for a loan as well. Iqbal and Savage, I think, may be better off at 19 just staying and playing with the first team and getting a handful of games in the Europa and the Carabao Cup. It might be worthwhile, Iqbal and Savage having a year with us. I don't think a loan for them actually is right. They could go on loan. They definitely could, but I think that they might be better off just training with the first team. And then I think Garnacho and Mabry need to go on loan. I mean, they've hardly played at all in pre-season. I don't think they're going to play a lot in the next few games, because, to be honest with you, we're going to start doing previews now. I didn't bother doing previews for the Melbourne victory or the Liverpool or the Palace game, because it's so early in pre-season. How do you preview a game like that? But I think with the Villa game, we'll see the first team play for an hour again against a strong Villa team, and you can start to do previews because you know how we're going to play. You know you've got to talk about what your first 11 is going to be. So I don't see people like Garnacho and Mabry having much impact now. I think the boat is gone. So yeah, Mabry needs to go on loan, and Garnacho's not even had a look in. I was very surprised that I know Chong got an assist, but I'm very surprised that we've seen Ahmad, Palestri, Chong, and we've not seen Garnacho. But so I think he might need to go on a loan as well. The way I work is last season is last season. Next season you do better. If not, you got to go, says Ray. Yeah, and Ray, that is absolutely fine. It really is. But as I say, everybody's different and everyone's got an entitlement to have an opinion. And I think those people that shout people down and say that you can't have that are just bullies. I will always say that I don't agree with an opinion. I mean, I don't know why people have a massive problem with that. It'd be a very boring show if I sat here and just went, yeah, that's a great opinion, that's a great opinion, that's a great opinion, because it wouldn't take long for me to contradict myself, because there's loads of different opinions in the chat. But yeah, I think we struggle because, and also there's a need to be right. Football's a very passionate sport, and if you get told that your opinion is wrong or you don't like an opinion, then people get, I genuinely think there are people that would punch me in the face if they saw me in the street, because I think that there are people who just get ridiculous about football. But Shola Shora Ray, says Peter, is he even on the tour? I mean, yeah, he's got to go on loan, hasn't he? He's got to go on loan. I'd completely forgotten about Shola. I think he is on the tour. I know Mengi's not, but I think he is on the tour. Yeah, we've got a lot of young lads, and I think that they've got to go. They've got to go on loan. They've got to go on loan. A lot of them. I mean, some of them will be staying because there will be positions on the bench. We didn't talk about Ronaldo. In relation to Ronaldo, I mean, really, this needed resolving before, but obviously we're on tour. The fact that Ronaldo, if I'm being honest, it's 3 weeks since he should have been back in training, and it's 2 weeks until we start the season. Like it does start to emphasise the enormity of the problem we've got with Cristiano Ronaldo. We can keep asking Erik ten Hag in interviews what's the situation, and he'll keep saying no comment, nothing from what I said, nothing's changed from what I said 2 weeks ago. But I think we need a little bit more than that. And in fairness to Ten Hag, he has given us more than that, because he said he's not for sale and I'm using him. But it's still very clear that from Ronaldo's side, he wants to leave. And Ten Hag can say he's not for sale and Ronaldo can not return to training. But I think at some point, again, look, my perception of Manchester United and what I get told about Manchester United over the last few years from people in the industry is that they're a joke of a club when it comes to negotiations. Man United, to us, are the biggest club in the world. Man United fans, that's how I feel. I'm very protective of it. It's my club. But behind the scenes, in the financial workings of football, where deals are done, Man United's reputation's no better than, I dread to say what teams it could be. They're just not perceived as being competent. and especially in the Woodward era, they were a joke. Circus was the word that was used. I don't know whether that's changed, but I do think that the way that this Ronaldo thing is happening now, it needs to go up a level. Like, the thing about Ronaldo is that we don't know how much United are involved in him staying away. Like, there's this personal issue, so you don't want to say anything too much because this personal issue could be something really serious. You just don't know. And when I say, I wouldn't even speculate what that could be, because it could be all sorts of things. And that's the thing at the moment that's sort of holding us back in the public from saying anything. But 3 weeks without training with your football team, when the season starts in 2, United need to be proactive on this. But maybe they are behind the scenes, but we can't just keep having Chelsea want him, but Chelsea don't want him. Bayern Munich don't want him. Atletico Madrid don't want him. It seems like it's just Ronaldo's tour of Europe at the moment, trying to find a club, whilst United sit back and go, he's not for sale. Like, we need to be a bit more proactive on it. I think we do need to be more proactive on it. Anyway, look, that's that show. I was looking at about 25 past 10. I thought I'll be finished at half 10. It's now 10 to 11. We've just moved away massively there. We're back at 2 o'clock anyway. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure you smash a like on the video. Don't forget to check out Shopify, links in the chat. Thank you very much to Shopify for sponsoring the show. Remember, we do ship them worldwide. We've got a lovely new t-shirt that's in the live chat. Check out the website for everything that we do. We do ship worldwide. And check it out. Big shout out to Shopify as well. If you want to set up your own Shopify stores, the link's in the chat to check that out. Please smash a like on the video and make sure you subscribe. Bottom right hand corner, we're on the road to 1.4 million. 1.4 million. So please do subscribe. Get us up to 1.4 million. That'd be great. What a community we're building. Lots of exciting things to come over the next couple of days. And to be fair, over the next few months, really, really, really excited to show you some of that stuff. But as ever, you've been fantastic. Really enjoyed the chat. We'll see you again at 2 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and obviously if anything happens in between. Take care. Have a good day, evening, whatever you're doing, and I'll speak to you in a bit.